Hey guys, I have a special surprise for you. This is my dog. Her name is Chica. Say hi, Chica. She's very sweet. Sometimes she barks at other dogs, but anyway, she'll be joining us for my review today. Today I'm going to be reviewing for Bloody Beginnings. It's okay, Chicks, come here. Good dog. For those of you who don't know, Wrong Turn 4, Bloody Beginnings is a 2009 horror film. Sorry, not 2009, that was Wrong Turn 3. It's a 2011 horror film. And this one is honestly one of my favorite of the series, but we'll get to the review in a second. First, we're going to go through the synopsis. But if you ask me, this is also one of the goriest of the series. It's pretty brutal stuff. It's a slasher film directed by Declan O'Brien, who sadly passed away. Rest in peace, man. He made good work. It is the fourth installment of this Wrong Turn film series, and served as the first part of a prequel to the Wrong Turn 2003. Starring Jennifer Pudovic, Tenica Davis, Caitlin Wong, and Tura Vanessa, the film follows a group of college students who get lost in a storm during a snowmobile trip and take shelter in an abandoned sanatorium that, unbeknownst to them, is home to deformed cannibals. So let's get started. In 1974, at the Glenville Sanatorium in West Virginia, head Dr. Brendan Ryan gives Dr. Ann McQuaid a tour around the building, entering Cell Ward C, where he introduces her to the young Hilliker brothers, Sawtooth, One-Eye, and Three-Finger. After the doctors leave, the brothers use a hairpin to escape from their cell and brutally murder a guard, I think by biting out his neck or something, and then stabbing him in the eye with a wire. I don't know exactly what was happening, but anyway, it's so brutal. And then they ate his nose. It's honestly worse than it sounds. Before releasing the other patients, together they cause a riot, brutally murdering the orderlies and doctor, including Dr. McQuaid, who they fried her brain basically, electric shocked her, and basically fried her brain alive while she was alive, and she was foaming at the mouth. Pretty brutal stuff, like how you do when you ingest cyanide. She was foaming at the mouth because of how much they electrocuted her. Very, very gruesome. And then this scene was crazy because Dr. Ryan's death is one of the most brutal things I've ever seen in any horror film. It was one of the most gory scenes ever shown in any horror movie. So basically, they lifted him up with barbed wire around his limbs, and then as he screamed, he was basically ripped limb from limb as he screamed in pain, and it was very, very gruesome. His limbs were literally detaching from his body slowly and painfully. It was quite torture. That was very, 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 very gory. It was extremely gory. One of the most brutal scenes, not only in the movie, but almost in any horror film. Honestly, this movie had gorier kills, and I honestly have to say, than Terrifier. This movie is probably one of the goriest horror movies I've ever seen. Seriously brutal. 29 years later, in 2003, 9 Weston University students, Kenya, Jenna, Vincent, Sarah, Bridget, Kyle, Claire, Daniel, and Lauren, spend their winter break snowmobiling, going in a snowmobile, to their friend Porter's cabins in the mountains. Lost in a snowstorm, they take shelter in the Glenville Sanatorium, not knowing the Hillikers live there. As well, Lauren shares stories about the sanatorium and the cannibals, but her friends brush them off. As the rest goes to bed, Vincent explores the asylum and finds Porter's corpse before Sawtooth kills him with a metal spike through the mouth, I think? No, through the nose and out through the top of his head. His last words were "Holy F-word" before getting brutally murdered after finding blood on Porter's body. But before he could run away, Sawtooth just killed him in an instant. The next day, the teens remain trapped by the storm. Notice Vincent missing and search the entire building for him. In the kitchen, Jenna comes across the Hillikers, butchering Porter's body, and runs back to warn the others. After Porter's severed head is thrown at the group, Claire is hanged from a balcony with barbed wire and decapitated. That scene was pretty brutal too. They hung barbed wire on her neck and then lifted her up with such force that it literally popped off her head, off her neck stump. It was seriously brutal. But I mean, this movie had very brutal kills, but I'd say probably the most brutal is either the flesh stripping, which I'll get to later, or the scene where they tie barbed wire on Dr. Brendan Ryan's limbs and basically dismember him while he's alive and screaming. Brutal stuff. The group attempts to flee the building, but their snowmobile's spark plug wires have been stolen by the Hillikers. Lauren skis down the mountain to seek help, while the others stay behind and barricade themselves in the doctor's office. Kyle, Daniel, and Sarah go into the basement to get weapons, but Daniel gets abducted, tied to a kitchen table in the kitchen. Oh, you might know Daniel from Saw 3D. He played Kale. If you've seen the Saw movies, I mean, any true horror fan has seen probably at least most of them. I've seen them all. And tied to the kitchen and slowly butchered and eaten alive. This scene was so brutal because they used a knife to skin him alive, and they cut off flesh off his leg and chest, and then finally he died when they pulled out his liver. But it was 10 minutes of torture. This is this is probably the worst kill I've ever seen in a horror movie. Yeah, it's super disturbing because they cut flesh off of him. They skin him alive while he's like, God, let me die, please let me die. And he's literally wants to die because of the pain so bad. I can't imagine. It must be unbearable. He can't do anything because he's tied down with barbed wire, so he has to just feel every bit of pain as the cannibals literally cut off his flesh and then cook it in oil and eat it. I know it's way worse than it actually sounds. This is probably the goriest movie I've ever seen, but it's good. It's a good movie. But if you don't like gore, this movie is definitely not for you. My mom hated it because it was so violent. But I like it. I like it. I mean, I can handle gore. It's just it makes me it's kind of gruesome, even for me sometimes. Um, but this is literally probably if you've seen the Saw movies, this is 10 times worse than the Saw movies. Any of the Saw movies. This is nonstop torture and suffering and gore and pain and cannibalism. It's definitely the goriest of the series, of the Wrong Turn series. The rest of the group. So anyway, Daniel dies after they pull out his liver, so he's dead. The rest of the group chases the cannibals and locks them in a cell, while Kyle stays behind to watch the brothers. The rest search for the spark plug wires. When Kyle falls asleep, yeah, he's pretty stupid. He was supposed to be watching them, but he fell asleep. That's ridiculous. Like, if he had just not fallen asleep, then they wouldn't have escaped probably. But he had to be stupid and fall asleep, so I never felt bad for him. When Kyle falls asleep, the brothers escape their cells, and the girls accidentally stab Kyle to death after mistaking him for one of the Hillikers. So they basically put a bag over his head, a sack over his head, and they thought, because they couldn't see his face, they thought it was one of the mutant cannibals, so they stabbed him to death very brutally. But it turned out it was Kyle all along, and he couldn't say anything because the mutant cannibals cut his tongue out. The brothers chase the girls through the building, forcing them to exit through a window. But Jenna is killed with an auger before she can escape, like a giant drill. The remaining girls are ambushed by the cannibals, who use the group's snowmobiles to chase them outside, where Kenya gets injured and One Eye kills Bridget with the grinding her up in a snowmobile chain. And then the blood smoke comes out, but it was horrible CGI. I'm gonna agree with James Agent. Some Wrong Turn 4 bloody games kill count that blood smoke was very very badly bad CGI. So yeah, she dead. As the day dawns, Lauren is frozen to death, not far from a highway. Yeah, the scene was crazy because she was like this close to like getting to a highway. So she made it pretty close to a highway, but she froze to death before she could make it. So yeah, Lauren skied down the mountain to seek help while the others stayed behind, and she ended up freezing to death. Not close, or I mean, sorry, close to a highway, and pretty close to escaping. I mean, if she had gone just like a few more feet, then she probably would have lived. But yeah, she froze to death before she could, so that sucks. No, Kenya is still being chased by one island. Sarah reappears and knocks the cannonball off the snowmobile, allowing the pair to steal it and escape. They drive into a razor wire trap set up by the cannibals, which decapitates them, and their heads go flying through the air and fall in the snow. Because they were like on the snowmobile, and like this scene actually took me by surprise the first time I watched it. Like I thought Kenya and Sarah would wait, Kenya and Sarah, yeah, Kenya and Sarah would survive, but yeah, they like no one survived in this movie. Like all the main characters died. Like they got decapitated like moments before the credits. I mean, they if they had not run into that barbed wire like trap, then they probably wouldn't have gotten decapitated and died. Um, Three Finger picks up their heads and puts them in their tow truck before returning to the sanatorium with his brothers. And that was the end of Wrong Turn 4, Bloody Beginnings, as the song, what was it called again? Oh, hold on, let me look that up. Wrong Turn 4, Bloody Beginnings soundtrack. Sorry. Because I can't remember because there was I think I took a wrong turn. It was called Wrong Turn by the Blackout City Kids, as that song played. And other songs included Here He Comes Again. So yeah, that was a crazy movie, man. That was one of the most insanely gory movies I've ever seen. I mean, some of the kills were obviously more brutal than the other ones. Like the ones that stood out to me for being the most brutal were definitely the flesh stripping and the dismembering with the barbed wire. But I thought the stabbing Kyle to death was pretty brutal. I mean, most of these kills are brutal. I mean, all of them were pretty bloody, but some of them were way worse than others. Like the hanging with the barbed wire was one of the worst ones. But yeah, if you guys haven't seen Wrong Turn 4 Bloody Beginnings, I strongly recommend it. Not if you don't like gore or horror movies, because this has a ton of gore and horror. But if you're looking for like a fun movie to watch, maybe get some popcorn, pizza, I don't know, Little Caesars, Crazy Breads, soda, Izzy's, whatever you want to get. I would suggest like inviting a few friends, maybe like 5 friends, and watching this movie. You don't need to watch the other 3 before this one, because it's a prequel. But yeah, you should invite your friends over. Maybe like have a couple of friends, have some popcorn, some Izzy's, and enjoy the movie. So my thoughts on this movie, I really liked it. I'd give it at least like a 4 or a 4.5, probably a 4. It was really good in my opinion. It's definitely one of my favorite of the series. Maybe even at like a 4.5 or 5. I don't know, because it was really good. But I think I'm gonna stick with the 4. A solid 4 is definitely good rating in my opinion. My cheeks. But yeah, if you guys haven't seen Wrong Turn 4 Blood Beginnings, check it out, because I strongly recommend it, especially if you're a horror fan. If you don't like gore, do not watch this movie. You'll hate it. But if you can handle gore like me, then, and if you're a gore hound, then this movie is definitely for you. It has a good story, pretty good acting, good setting, good filming, like cinematography, and it's a fun movie. So you guys should definitely check it out, especially if you're a horror fan. But if you don't like gory movies, then I don't recommend it. But if you do like gory movies, or okay, or at least tolerate gore, then I recommend this one. Alright, well, this has been my review on Wrong Turn 4, Bloody Beginnings, and we'll be looking at one of the worst of the series next time for Wrong Turn 5, Bloodlines. I'll see you guys next time for that one. Bye.